Have you ever had the experience where you should do something, but then you don't do it? The way you're making your half square triangles aren't the most effective, but you just are rebelling against yourself, and then you're going to have to fix it in the long run, but you just don't do it. Why am I doing this? Or maybe you're driving and you know you should get more gas, but you don't. And you think, why am I rebelling against myself? Or you're buying some fabric online and you're saying, I don't really need this fabric, but your finger is saying purchase, or signing up for another block of the month. One of my clients said to me today, I have totally been resisting this one tool that I know really helps me, but I'm actually afraid to come face to face with whatever's in my brain. She actually said, I have totally been resisting the thought downloads. I'm just afraid to come face to face with whatever is in there. If you can relate to any of these situations, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Dara Thomason, and I am the Quilter's Coach, Life Coach. This is the podcast where we stitch together life coaching and creativity to help quilters lose weight without losing their minds. After losing 50 pounds without any traditional weight loss methods, I learned this revolutionary concept. We don't have a knowledge problem. We have a feeling and thinking problem. In my years of coaching fellow quilters and creatives, I've watched women transform their lives by changing their thoughts first and then their bodies follow. Because here's what the weight loss industry doesn't want you to know. All that time and energy you've been spending on complicated plans, tracking apps, and making sure that you've got all your macros and micros, you don't need it. What you need is to understand how your brain and your body are connected. So today's episode, there's a different way that actually works. I've been resisting the thought downloads and why we avoid looking inside. Based on this client, her confession about avoiding thought downloads, I thought that I would help you see why, first of all, you're not broken, and what we can do instead. Why do we resist the very tools that will help us? Why are we buying more fabric when we know we can't? Why are we joining another block of the month when we already have so much committed to? Why do we say yes when the kids say they want to come and we know we're already got so much going on? Why do we have these disconnects in our brain? So we're going to explain that in this episode, and we're going to talk about why we have fear of what we might find inside of our minds and what happens when we start looking in them. I want to tell a quick story because I relate a lot to stories. Now, I really love family history. One of the reasons I'm a quilter is because I feel super connected to my grandmas, especially my grandma Mary, who died when I was 7. She was a master seamstress. She made quilts. She hosted a lot of quilting bees at her house. Her mom had a stroke at a young age, so there were 6 girls and 1 brother. My grandma was the designated sewer, and I feel really connected to her when I'm sewing. I made my first pair of shorts by myself in grade 6, and I love the idea of having an idea in my head and then making it happen. My grandma Mary was very similar to that. I love doing family history work, feeling connected to my heritage, and creating a legacy. I went to Nova Scotia. My great-grandfather was a soldier from Scotland, posted in Portugal, and then he was posted in Halifax on the east coast of Canada. He was a soldier there for many years. I've been doing family research, and it's been really cool. My great-grandpa, his mother, Joanna Kelly, died at a younger age, and he had 2 sisters. They were 5 and 12. And his father remarried. Her name is Rebecca McDonald. Instead of taking his daughters, they put them in an orphanage. I found this out, and it was really horrible. My great-grandpa, at 14 when his mother died, got on a bicycle and tried to ride it to the World Trade Fair in St. Louis. He ended up working for some farmers, making some money, and then he hopped the train, and he was on the train with a bunch of hobos. They were telling him about Alberta and how there was all these new opportunities for someone who was adventurous and young and had lots of energy. He went on the train and didn't have enough money, but he hopped on anyway. The train officiator came on. They pooled their money together and said, I'll give the kid a break. My great grandpa ended up in a place called Claresholm, Alberta, and started farming. I can see why he would want to leave, because his sisters were put in an orphanage. As I tracked their lives, I discovered they never got married, never had kids, and died at a younger age. They were working as servants in a home. It makes me really sad that happened. And I had some bitter feelings toward Rebecca McDonald and my great grandfather for doing that. The reason I tell the story is because when my client was talking about this, she said to me, I don't know why I'm so rebellious. I don't know why I'm so resistant to doing these thought downloads, when clearly she's had a lot of success and breakthroughs. So I asked her, why do you think you are struggling with that? And she said, because I don't know if I can handle what I find. I said, okay, that's fair. I was devastated to know that someone in my own family would give up their two daughters at 5 and 12. At the time I was doing that research, I had my kids with me, a 5-year-old and a 12-year-old. I thought, that's devastating. No wonder my 14-year-old great grandpa was like, I'm out of here. I can't handle this. As we talked about it, I said, what are some of the things that are difficult for you? She was able to talk about it. In my membership, I have 5 pillars. The weight loss science is simple. Make your own eating plan and troubleshoot it. Feel your feelings instead of eating them. Take 100% responsibility for yourself, which means you can either go to shame of saying, I'm not good enough, or you can go to blame of, if I had a better mom, if I had a better dad, if I had a better community, if I had more money growing up, I had less money growing up. With any sort of blame outside of you, I call those the shame and blame cyclones, okay? So that takes us away from being responsible for ourselves, which takes us out of our own power, and then life feels really scary, and we want to try to control everyone and everything around us. So we learn tools and strategies of how to avoid that. The last pillar is building self-confidence. So as she was sharing, these are the things I'm really afraid of. These are the things I don't like. And the more that she talked about it, guess what started happening? She got out of that shame cyclone. I always say that shame is like a mushroom. Mushrooms grow in the dark and they're fed poop, right? That's how they grow. So the more that we can talk about what's really going on, the less shame we have, then we neutralize it, and then we see, oh, this is why. And so now it doesn't seem so big. It doesn't seem so hard. It doesn't seem so difficult. So recently, I have my own life coach, because I believe that all of us, in order for us to progress and grow, we all have our own obstacles, right? We have our own upper limits, our own struggles. And just like with math, if we want to get to the next level, we have to learn skills. We can be really good at grade 9 math, but then when we get to grade 10 math, we think, why is this so hard? It's because we need to learn new skills. I was on a coaching call, and my coach was teaching me this concept. My coach was teaching me about how to get to neutral. We had to go to the extreme, the worst case scenario. This was terrible. I didn't meet my goal. I didn't lose the weight by Christmas. I didn't finish all the quilts that I wanted to. Then we went to the other side. We made it. We did all the quilts. We lost all the weight. We had all the presents done even by December 1st. In this exercise, we went to the place where it was like, I didn't finish that thing. I didn't accomplish it. We pictured ourselves there, and we'd say things like, okay, how do you feel? It's okay. That makes sense that you feel sad. We normalized the feeling of disappointment. Yeah, it's a bummer. When you don't finish your goal, it doesn't feel great. And then we went to when we were successful and went to that place. That feels awesome and great. The thing that was really interesting, and I say this to my clients all the time, is when you accomplish your goals, you're not going to be an infinitely better person. You're not going to be glowing. A police officer, when he pulls you over, They're not going to not give you a ticket and say, oh, I see you finished your goal. You're very extra special. I'm not going to give you the ticket. Life still goes on because the key fundamental here is that your worth is actually not tied to your results. Your worth is not tied to if you lose weight or you gain weight, your worth doesn't change. Your worth is always 100%. So when we make goals, it's just, oh, that makes it more fun. In fact, today when I was coaching a client, she was saying how she beats herself. She was beating herself up because she raised her kids as an obese mom. It makes her feel really bad. She realized my granddaughters still love me. My grandkids love me. My kids have always loved me. But she was using that to beat herself up. I said to her, were you still a good mom? You made dinner for them. You connected with them. And she just recently did 20,000 steps on one day. And I said, that's awesome. But do you think your granddaughters would love you more or less if you weighed 80 pounds again? Would it limit what you could do? Yeah. With 80 extra pounds, you wouldn't have been able to do 20,000 steps. But you would have done fun things regardless. You would have done crafts at the kitchen table. Or other things. This is one of those things that I really want to emphasize to you as you listen to my podcast and consider coming into my membership. We are no longer afraid to go into our brain. We can feel disappointed, just like my ancestors. It still makes me so sad, that little 5-year-old and 12-year-old going to an orphanage when he got remarried. And why couldn't she take them on? But that's their life. Is it embarrassing to me a little bit? Is it discouraging a little bit? Does it feel like I don't really want to tell people, oh, hey, guess what? My great-great-grandpa put his daughters in an orphanage. But that's their life. That's their situation. It doesn't reflect me. And so the more that we can go into our own brain, the more that we can neutralize that. Another piece, when she said, I have totally been resisting the thought downloads. I'm just afraid to come face to face with whatever's in there. The other part was that the more that you avoid, resist, or react to something, the bigger and bigger it gets. So just with the scenario of the boogeyman, in the dark, I saw the shadows and it's so scary and it's so hard. I'm so petrified. But all you have to do is just turn the light on and you'll see there's no boogeyman. You can just see it. You can just allow it. Some of the ladies in the chat were talking about their strategies with thought downloads and what worked for them. This one woman said, when I finally did the thought download, I felt so much relief. The problem when you avoid, resist, and react, it just gets bigger and bigger. Whatever you feed grows. So the sooner you can say, oh, I see my resistance. Thought download time. On our coaching calls, quite often I will start with, let's do a thought download on this. I give them the opportunity in a safe place to do a thought download, and then I guide them and help them so it doesn't feel so scary. Just like me and my math fears, the more I can just say, hey, I'm not very good at this. Can you help me? Then I don't have to be as afraid of it anymore. As you listen to this podcast, I want you to think about why weight loss has been a struggle for you. I need to share a win. One of the members, she's a fairly new member, and she has struggled with her weight for a long time. She got off GLP-1s because she'd been spending so much money every month. She wasn't really losing any weight, and she was afraid of the side effects. She listened to one of my trainings on perfectionism, realized that to change her relationship with food and her body, she has to do the mental and emotional work. Today, when we were talking about some of the tools and the things that are happening, she said, I realize that I am so resistant to doing the mental work that if I don't do the work, it will never happen. It's like she's just keeping her arm's distance away. She told the group that she's been starting to do the tutorials that I have. I have worksheets and tutorials for each worksheet. It's like you and I are sitting side by side and I'm saying, okay, Let's go. This is module 3, worksheet number 2. And I work through it with you. She said it's been really fascinating for her to see how often she distracts herself and doesn't value herself. She always puts herself last. She blames her spouse. She blames her kids. She blames the government. And she's tired of it. She doesn't want to live that way anymore. The more that she can come to the calls and the more that she allows herself to be vulnerable and to actually be honest with herself and say, I have a really bad habit of blaming everyone else and not taking responsibility for myself. And I don't like the results I'm getting. And it was such a huge win. And I was so happy to hear her. It all started because she heard a podcast or training of mine, understanding what a perfectionist is. And she was able to recognize that these unhealthy patterns are keeping her from creating the life that she wants. I have a really fun offer for you. You've made it to the end of this podcast. That tells me that you're tired of the same old cycle. You struggle through the holidays. You feel guilty with every cookie. You promise yourself January 1st or Monday morning that you're going to be different. And then you find yourself right back here in October, frustrated and starting over again. What if this Christmas was different? What if instead of dreading holiday photos and promising yourself you'll be good in the new year, you actually enjoy the season? You're present with your family. You can laugh and you don't have to be filtering everything that you say and second guessing yourself. What if you walked into 2026 already transformed instead of making another empty resolution? Right now, I'm offering 5 one-on-one free coaching calls a week. They're only 25 minutes through the end of October. But in these sessions, I'll show you exactly where you're sabotaging your health goals, and we'll put a plan in place so you can actually enjoy Christmas this year. We will talk about my membership at the end and see if it's a good fit. This is not a high pressure sales call. In the past, women have said what a huge relief they felt at the end of each one of these. Once the 5 spots are gone, they're gone. No wait list, no extensions. When October ends, this offer will disappear, and I don't know when I'm going to bring it back. So if you're done with the hamster wheel of New Year's resolutions and ready to make this Christmas different, grab your session now at the link provided below. Stop promising yourself next year and make this the year everything changes. Your spot is waiting, but not for long.
If you aren't loving your current life and hear yourself saying things like, I should be happier, I should be getting more done, or question how productive and fulfilled you are, this podcast is for you. I'm Dara Thomason, professional quilter turned life coach for quilters, where I show you how to overcome obstacles like perfectionism, people pleasing, overeating, overcomplicating life, so that you can really start to enjoy your life by learning and using tools for your brain to help you transform your everyday living. Are you ready to make these changes? I'm ready to help. Let's start your transformation one UFO at a time.